If you've ever played Fire Emblem Fates, you've probably gotten at least somewhat sucked into the skill system. After all, the Fire Emblem 3DS games, barring Echoes, allow for the most customizability of your units the series has ever seen. Maybe you think you've put together a pretty great unit, maybe even an awesome team. But have you ever thought about the set of circumstances you need to put together to reach the maximum damage in a single hit possible? Now, before we get into the nitty-gritty of the numbers we have to put together, let's talk for a brief moment about the order of operations present in the game. It starts off with the weapon itself, specifically its might value. While the weapon is important, beyond forging, it can't really be modified too much. The might of the weapon is mostly the base on which we build further damage on top of. After that, we have to factor in our unit stats, which are contributed together from their personal stats, which they retain no matter what class they're in, and class stats that get contributed on from whatever class they become. The stats themselves can also be modified by things like consumable items, support skills used by other units, the unit's own skills that it's acquired through leveling, and stats added by a backup unit in guard stance. The next step is passive skills, which can be used either to contribute to the attacker's stats or add flat damage on top. Then, once the attack is initiated, the unit has a chance to use an activation skill, but this is limited to one per attack, so in our case it'd be useless to have more than one of these. And finally, there's a critical hit. After the final damage has been calculated, and a check has been rolled to make sure the attack is a hit, an additional check is rolled to see if the hit will go critical. If it does, all the combined damage will be multiplied by 3, which will give us our final hit. It's worth noting, however, that the order of operations only matters in the sense that the critical multiplier is the final step. All the skills and modifiers in this game are flat numbers, not percents. Thus, it doesn't make too much of a difference whether it gets added onto the weapon, the stats, or the skills. We just go for the highest possible numbers we can shoot for. With that all out of the way, let's get started. We'll begin with the possible total, the amount you could get if you played the game fair on a clean cartridge, no hacking or tinkering around to give abilities, items, or supports the game says you can't. Then after that, we'll move on to the theoretical, where hacks are fair game within reason. We're not going to hack stats above what's possible, we're merely going to use the tools already in the game, just shuffle them around a bit. Let's start off with our weapon. Now, the class with the highest attacking stat cap is the Berserker, which caps at a painfully high 40 strength. Berserkers are forced to only use axes, so we want to capitalize on all that strength by picking out the best axe we can, which in this case is actually a club, Ryoma's club, even though Ryoma can't use clubs without class changing. The club itself has a base might of 16, but that's pretty low for our purposes. We can do better, so we'll take a quick trip over to the smithy in our castle. We want to forge the club up to 7+, which is the highest tier we can get. With all that reinforced metal, we can squeeze another 11 might out of it, which brings us up to a total of 27 might to build on as our base. Great, so now we have our weapon of choice and we know which class will be using it, but we still need someone to use it. There are two things to consider here, max stat modifiers and personal skills. There are plenty of good personal skills out there that add damage, but the best max stat modifiers tend to be present on the child units. You may not like eugenics, but you can't deny it brings results. The top 3 contenders in our case are all Hoshido kids, and 2 of the 3 are Awakening copy-pastes, because Intelligent Systems isn't subtle when they play favorites. So let's look a bit closer at Shiro, Kalidori, and Rajat. Shiro has a skill which gives +3 to his damage, whereas the girls have +4. However, his best parental situation gives him a max strat Inc modifier of 5, which Rajat gets 4 and Kalidori 3. In all 3 cases, this mom is Kagero, so at least we know who our max stat mom will be. So that eliminates Kalidori from the running and has Shiro and Rajat in a tie. We'll be using Rajat because when we get to the optimal theoretical attack, she has a slight edge over him. So we have our attacker, Rajat, mothered by Kagero, as a Berserker. This will give us a base strength of 44 to build on. Her personal skill gives us another 4, but we still have 5 skill slots to fill out. Now, given how the battle engine resolves battles, only 1 activation skill can go off per attack. Now, when you're playing normally, there's some debate about which activation skill offers the best returns. Some like Luna, some like Astra, others prefer Ren's Heaven. The one we want, however, is Vengeance. We're going to go off the assumption the enemy will have 0 defense, so Luna would have no effect. Rent Heaven is okay, but the best it can offer is another 20 damage, since it would take half of a Berserker's 40 strength. Astra seems like a good choice as it multiplies the damage by 2.5 times overall, but with such high damage the enemy would be dead after hit 1, ending the chain already. And besides, we're going for strongest possible single hit here, so it's out anyway. Which leaves us with Vengeance. When it activates, half of the damage suffered by Rajat will be thrown back at her enemy as additional damage. Berserkers cap HP at 70, and max stat modifiers don't exist for HP, so that means she can take a maximum of 69 damage and use half of it. Vengeance rounds down, so that equates to 34 damage. Let's briefly go over the other 4 skills we want to use for her. The first of them is Life and Death, which gives plus 10 damage outgoing and incoming. Followed by Aggressor, a skill which gives a plus 7 bonus for initiating the attack. Trample, which gives plus 5 to damage if our enemy is unmounted. And Axe Fair, which gives 5 additional damage for using an axe. Then there's consumable items, which we'll use to set up both before the battle and in it. In my castle, we're going to want to use the mess hall, something which under normal circumstances I never really go near. However, by having someone cook chili for us, which is the only food available to give a plus 2 to strength, we can further stimulate her growth. Additionally, food in the mess hall can be made of certain flares, some of which offer an additional point of strength for a total of 3. From there, we want to get our statues set up. These buildings in the castle, when upgraded to level 3, allow every unit in the army to increase the cap on a certain stat by 1. 11 units in the entire game have statues that correspond to strength, 2 of which are the Avatar and Kana. The Avatar needs strength to be on the boon stat, and HP to be on the bane. This is because Kana's stat is determined by Corrin's bane, and since statues can't be set to HP, the HP bane will default to strength for Kana, which brings us up to our 11-point cap increase. Rajat can hold on to a battle seal, awarded for fighting a stupid amount of castle Wi-Fi battles, for 2 points of strength, and then she can drink a strength tonic, a Sugi's Confect, and a rainbow tonic for an additional 2 points each, making it a total of 6. What's more, the rainbow tonic can also give a plus 5 to max HP, bringing our HP to 75, which can give us a 3 additional point increase to our Vengeance skill damage. We also need someone to hit. Now, this could simply be a generic enemy, but we can get more damage output if we exploit a couple of skills. Unfortunately for Ignatius, one of these skills is his personal. When he's paired up with someone, he takes 2 less damage, but if he's on his own, he's always taking an additional 2 damage. He'll also have the skill Life and Death, because we want that risk-reward value of 10 points of damage, meaning by fighting an Ignatius we've reduced to 0 defense, we can get an additional 12 points. Because we're fighting another playable character on the roster, this means we're going to have to do this fight in a PvP setting. And that means, in Fate's case, we can only have 4 units backing us up, as PvP is 5-on-5. The first of these will be our support partner Rajat married, either Percy or Forrest. It has to be a Nor husband, because he needs to be mothered by Effie. And since Effie's Oshido children are both girls, that means it has to be one of the aforementioned too. Why go through all this trouble? Because of pair-up bonuses. Each character has class and personal pair-up stats. Our backup will be a Berserker as well, since they have the best pair-up for strength of 5. For children, their S-rank support values are the same as their mothers, and Effie's offer the best we can get and an additional 2 points of strength. Our 3 backup units are going to be Laszlo, Camilla, and Hinoka. Their personal skills all give flat additions to damage, with Camilla giving 3, Hinoka 2, and Laszlo 1. It's worth noting that Elise also gives a plus 1, and she'll come into play with the theoretical, but we only have 5 slots in Fate's PvP. Laszlo's plus 1 is activated by using the Rally command on him, and we'll be needing Rally Strength and Spectrum for plus 4 and 2 points respectively, and it's easier to just have him rally all 3 at once. The other 2 skills we'll be needing are Charm and Inspiration, which both give another 2 points, and that's as much as we can possibly legally get. So let's quickly recap here. Rajat, mothered by Kagero, uses a Rainbow Tonic, Strength Tonic, and a Sugi's Confect. She's eaten exquisitely made chili, and her home castle has 11 statues set to Strength level 3, helped out by a plus Strength minus HP Avatar and Kana. Rajat is a Berserker using a plus 7 Realmus Club with the skills Axe Fair, Vengeance, Trample, Aggressor, and Life and Death. Supporting her in guard stance is Berserker Percy or Forrest, mothered by Effie. Adjacent to her are Hinoka, Camilla, and Laszlo with Rally Spectrum, Rally Strength, Charm, and Inspiration. Ignatius has attacked Rajat in a previous round of combat, and throughout the course of the battle she has had her 75 HP reduced to 1. Laszlo begins the turn by rallying Rajat, and if she initiates an attack on Iggy, activates Vengeance, and then immediately follows up with critical, she will annihilate him with a devastating 582 damage. Now that on its own is pretty impressive. It's more than enough damage to kill the final boss of each Path of Fates at the same time, twice. But that's only when we stay within bounds. We can do a little bit better than that. Let's bend the rules and see just how far we can push the engine. The first thing we'll need is a weapon upgrade. Realma's club isn't bad, but there is one better. Garen's personal axe, which is locked to him, has a base might of 21. Hack it out of his inventory, however, and you'll find it's usable by anyone. Now let's say you did this, 128 times, say, because that's how many we'll need to max forge it to a 7+, for a maximum might of 32 on this one axe. Then we're going to want to break those PvP match limitations. We want 5 enemies on there besides Iggy, as that way we can swap Trample for Strength Taker. This skill will give her 2 points of strength up to a maximum of 10 for each enemy she kills, which will grant us a net gain of 5. We'll also add in those medicine pots from Chapter 12 of Conquest. Breaking the right pot will give us a boost of 4 points to strength throughout the end of the battle, so let's just add that in as well. And since Iggy's team is 6 units, it's only fair we get 6 as well, which means we can now have Elise be adjacent for an additional point of damage. And we'll be upgrading our husband to Siegbert, still mothered by Effie, because his personal skill gives a female he's supporting an additional 2 points of damage. If we do all that, and follow the same scenario as previously, Rajat will drive the axe down into poor Iggy's skull for a punishing 633 points of damage. The moral of the story here is, if you hear her say,
"I want your skull for a trophy,"
assume she's going to get it. Hey there, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed watching me math for a while about one of my favorite video games. If you want to see me math other video games, it might be worth it to subscribe. I really enjoyed combing through the numbers and managing the order of operations, and I'm definitely going to be doing more of these, so stick around if you liked it. And if you thought I got it wrong, leave me a comment. I'd be interested to see how you'd build up to the maximum damage in the game.